Let's talk about must draft
Come on,
wide
baby.
receivers in
Talk it
fantasy
up.
football. This term must draft, meaning these are guys that you need to draft. You need to have these guys on your squad this year.
Yep.
And we're going to tell you just why. Okay. I'm going to give you my must draft wide receiver. And I think this is going to end up being a my guy this year. I think he's a my guy.
It's early.
It's early. We'll find
early.
out here soon.
Here we go.
And subscribe and like this video, to find out later on. We do have my guy sessions, closer to the season.
Mm-hmm.
Russell Gage. Okay.
Ooh.
Russell Gage. His current ADP is wide receiver 47. That obviously fluctuates. He is my wide receiver 40.
Okay.
Players who are currently going around him include Michael Gallup, Alan Lazard, Jarvis Landry, Tyler Boyd, Jacoby Myers. And let's talk about this. He's going to step into some instant opportunities on this team. Chris Godwin is recovering from the ACL.
Correct.
Todd Bowles himself has said there is no timetable for his return. They don't even have, goals for him to reach just yet. They're like, he's not healthy enough yet to really be in a place where he's on the field.
Right.
Antonio Brown essentially forced himself into retirement. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, oh my gosh, Antonio Brown could have extended his career here if he just kept a cool head. Like he right now could be a top 12 guy this year.
For sure.
Gronk has retired, and I think this might be for real from what I've heard, his retirement. So you got Russell Gage, who is instantly stepping into the wide receiver 2 role to start the season. And that is a very, very valuable role in fantasy. And we're going to talk about that here in a second. But first, let's just review what he was able to do last year, because I'm going to talk about some numbers. And I think they might surprise you.
Okay.
Calvin Ridley last year only played about a quarter of the year. He was obviously prioritized. And during that time, first 10 weeks, it was weird. The Calvin situation. Russell Gage was dealing with injuries. He was in and out of the lineup.
Mm-hmm.
But from week 11 onwards, Russell Gage was the wide receiver 11.
Talk it up.
That is according to Fantasy Pros from weeks from weeks 11 onwards. Excuse me, today, Junior. He was wide receiver 11, and he showed really good consistency.
Right.
And the reason I know that is because I picked him up off the waiver wire, and I was a team that was 1-7. I keep talking about this, but I was a 1-7 team, and I ended up going 7-7 on the year and winning a championship. And Gage was a guy I started a lot of those weeks, and I think he showed at minimum that he can be a good contributor to a offense in a meaningful way. So wide receiver 11 from week 11 onwards, that's quite impressive. And that's on a really bad offense in Atlanta. And the last thing, and the most important thing, is the TB12 effect.
Come on.
Okay. Last year, Tom Brady led the NFL in pass attempts. Okay. Pass completions, pass yards, pass touchdowns. He was able to produce 3 top 12 wide receivers in points per game last season. Godwin, who was 8th in points per game. AB, who was 9th. Evans, who was 12th. As well as a tight end in Gronk, who was the 3rd highest scoring tight end in points per game. Now, to be fair, those 4 players collectively missed around 19 games last year. So it makes sense as to why that was possible.
Yeah.
But still, you look at this and it's quite impressive. We have a quarterback who led the NFL in all major categories. He's now connected. This is a wide receiver he's going to rely on. He made 4 people relevant. I mean, 5. Look at Lenny. Look at what he did with Lenny. We made 5 people in the top 12 at their position in points per game. And now you have Russell Gage stepping in, and he will be the wide receiver 2 on this team.
Yeah.
I don't think it's crazy to say that he can be a top 20 wide. I almost want to lock in. Like, I know I have him as my wide receiver 40. I think he's going to keep going higher, but in my mind, I almost want to lock in that he will be a wide receiver 2, a wide receiver 2, top 24 guy. It feels like he can't not be that this year. So I love Russell Gage, and I'm going to have him on as many teams as I possibly can. And I officially am going to tag him as a must draft wide receiver.
Must draft wide receiver. I like Russell Gage. We'll definitely see what happens there with the TB12 effect.
Mm-hmm.
One last hurrah, huh?
Mm-hmm.
A must draft wide receiver for me, kind of in the same realm as Alan Lazard. And he kind of actually has a similar ADP, wide receiver 40, 46, 47, 48, always fluctuates, goes up and down.
Yeah.
Currently, my wide receiver 44. And I do believe he's going to continue to move up in my rankings, in my redraft rankings, and in the ADP as well. Players going around him: Michael Gallup, Tyler Boyd, J-Mo, Roberto Woods, Jarvis Landry, and of course, Russell Gage. I think it's pretty obvious. I've been saying this a lot on our redraft channel. 140 plus vacant targets that are gone, are open, saying, "Hey, we're open for business. Where do you want to go?" That's Davante Adams' targets. 140 plus targets. He was averaging for the past 4 or 5 plus years that he was on that team. It has to be distributed to somebody. Okay, who is that going to be? Who's going to be leading the pack? In my opinion, it is Allen Lazard. They did draft Christian Watson. I love Christian Watson. He's a wide receiver too, but who has the most chemistry with Aaron Rodgers? It's Allen Lazard. You know, who's been on the team for the longest? It's been Allen, outside of Randall Cobb. It's this guy. It is Allen Lazard. Okay, and we saw a glimpse of that as well, of Allen Lazard really taking a step up in 2021 with Davante Adams on the field. Weeks 14 to 18, he was a wide receiver 8, 16.6 fantasy points per game, over nearly 6 targets per game. He was averaging nearly 6 targets per game. Once again, that was with Davante Adams on the field. He was doing his thing too, but Allen Lazard was also doing his thing on the other side. Okay. There is hope and belief that Allen Lazard could be this wide receiver 1 that you can draft as your wide receiver 4 on your team. Wide receiver 4, wide receiver 3. The value currently right now is ridiculous for Allen Lazard. He is going right now in the 10th, 11th round in our redrafts. Our latest mock draft, he was in the 11th round. This guy's with the 4-time MVP and Super Bowl champion Aaron Rodgers, and you're telling me we're drafting him as wide receiver 4? You're telling me Davante Adams is no longer on this team? You're telling me there's 140 plus targets on this team? Once again, not all going to him. You know what? Let's lock in 100, 110, 120. I feel comfortable saying that.
I could say that could happen, yeah.
I feel really comfortable saying that. And why not take a chance on a guy that is you're getting in the 10th round? You know? Once again, the people going around him. People going around Allen Lazard right now: Michael Gallup, Tyler Boyd, Jameson Williams, Robert Woods, Jarvis Landry. All these guys are. Jarvis is on a new team. Roberto Woods on a new team. Michael Gallup is coming off an injury. Tyler Boyd, the wide receiver 3 on his team. J-Mo, we don't even know if he's going to start the first half of the season. Yeah. So you're telling me these guys are going either right before him or around him when Allen Lazard is a wide receiver 1 in his team? There's no doubt this guy, before I get too happy, there's no doubt this guy can finish, in my opinion, as a top 25 wide receiver. I think that is truly possible, especially in a redraft perspective. There is hope and belief that he can be the guy. I hope that he will stay healthy. I think that's another thing. He needs to stay healthy as well. Yeah. That was a big problem. He's no longer in Davante Adams' shadow, so why not take a chance in the 10th, 11th round at your wide receiver 4 with wide receiver 1 label? I mean, I think it's great value.
I agree. Like, who knows what Allen Lazard could do, and it's good to hear Aaron Rodgers have confidence in him, talking about how he expects him to be the wide receiver 1 on the team as well. So that is a vote of confidence that you want to hear from a guy like Aaron Rodgers. So those are some must draft wide receivers. Why don't you comment down below? Let us know who you believe deserves the must draft tag for the wide receivers.
Yo, what's good? Thanks for watching. We got a lot more videos.
A lot more.
If you want more videos,
watch it.
You can also subscribe
right now
if you want to.
You need to.
And lastly, don't forget that you can sign up to support the show and get exclusive content by going to patreon.com/fantasylandfam.